Good evening. Normally we just kick the concert off, but we have just a little explainer to do before we begin our first piece. My name is John Seaton. I'm the Director of Dance here at the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our concert. We'll just start with a brief explainer here about some of the sounds you're going to hear. So our first piece, Autobahn, is written after the very highway in Germany, where cars are able to go as fast as they want. Maybe some of you had an Autobahn-like experience getting here on the 15 tonight, and so you can relive that here as we perform this piece. Some effects the composer uses really intentionally. One of the coolest effects in this piece is musical, a Doppler effect. And so the Doppler effect is where a car is coming towards you, and as it gets closer to you, it sounds like the pitch is getting higher, and then the car goes past, it goes, meow, and the pitch gets lower suddenly. And so Leilani back here is going to demonstrate musically what that will sound like in the piece. You'll hear that throughout. So that's the fast car flying by. The other interesting thing the composer does is he literally changes the tempo to make you think we're speeding up. And so he writes an accelerando, where the band actually plays faster on purpose to sound like, again, we're speeding up. The final kind of sound concepts you'll hear in the middle of the piece, there's a section where it sounds like there's a crash or there's like a breakdown occurring on the highway. One of the first things you'll hear in that section is a siren effect. And not only is it a siren, but you'll hear again the Doppler effect where the pitch is getting lower as we go. So we'll have the clarinets and saxophones demonstrate that siren for us. Kind of a European ambulance siren sound. Finally, you'll hear from, we'll have trumpets demo it now, but you'll hear from a few sections is this concept of like a horn. And if you've ever heard a car horn, most of them actually do have like 2 or 3 pitches because it's a little more alarming. And so we'll have the trumpets demonstrate that horn effect you'll hear in that same crash section. It sounds kind of like a car horn. And so just again, those are some of the sounds you'll hear in the piece. I'm sure you'll be able to pick up a few more, but just wanted to kind of clue you into those so you can enjoy it as much as you can. This is, without further ado, Ryan George's Autobahn. There we go, thank you. That was again hymn for band, or hymothy for band if we're being formal. No? Okay. That was Xavier's joke. He put me up to it. I thought it was really good. Some just housekeeping items for the room just before we play our final piece. Was very excited our last concert as the year was starting to announce that the Band Boosters put together a fully funded private scholarship lesson program, or private lesson scholarship program, excuse me. And so what that entails is the students submit an application to me, anonymously then, names redacted, the boosters look at the application, they've approved everyone they've gotten so far, and then after that approval, the students get subsidized private lessons, and so they get $25 per private lesson times 15 lessons, and so that can either hopefully remove the cost of a shorter lesson, or at least lower the cost of a longer lesson. We currently have 13 remaining spots within that program as it's funded, and so just want to incentivize any families out there or anyone listening who has a student in the program, if you're worried about applying or weren't sure if there was enough room, there are 13 open spots available. And that's what the money is earmarked for. So we'd really love to see those 13 filled up, and there are way more than 15 weeks left in the school year. And so just if you need more information, have your child talk to me, or feel free to talk to me at the concert. I want to again thank all of our families and all three bands for supporting the Parent Funding Agreement, the PFA program. Just to wrap up, about a month ago, this group got to work with Michael Dougherty, the Grammy Award-winning composer of one of the pieces they played in the fall, Alligator Alley. It's one with the bassoon feature over there. And so within that class, they got feedback on Alligator Alley from him. And he even, using some student melodies that they supplied, he even actually composed a piece with them live. That was just a really kind of fun, cool class. So I just want to thank our families again for supporting that program. It was a fantastic residency, and we could not do it without your support. The school generously supported us with the Master Artist Series for that, but there are even costs beyond that the PFA helped fund, as well as the quartet that you'll see tonight was funded by the PFA program. So as a community, you should be very proud of that we can provide that for our students. Finally, a reminder, this group, V1, their festival, it's kind of far away, but when we get to the spring, it won't feel that way. Their festival performance for their rating, our ACT test for band, their festival performance is April 8th through the 10th. It will be just one of those days, but they haven't scheduled us a specific day or time yet. So it's on the band calendar, it's nothing new, but just a reminder for our V1 families out there to keep April 8th through the 10th open, and we'll have more information as we get closer to that. We will leave you with the very catchy Avenger March by Carl L. King. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Maybe they can tell you or don't tell you, no, I have just been so proud of the students this quarter. They always are good, but they just have really turned it on, and I know you can hear that in the performance. So students, thank you again so much. We will do a stage change now and get V2 on and proceed with our concert. Thanks so much for being a great audience. Thank you so much. That was Keep Some Green Bushes by Percy Granger. Our next piece is a familiar tune entitled Amazing Grace, and it was composed and written by a former slave trader, John Newton, in 1772. And it depicts his transition from sin over to Christianity. And it has transcended religion, it's transcended background, and represents and is a beacon of hope. It's a beacon of grace and redemption. And this is a setting that is newly inspired and by Frank DeKelly. So please enjoy Amazing Grace. moment, we'll draw the 50-50 raffle. But before that, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about the Private Lessons Scholarship Fund, which is one of the many things that Boosters does. And as of right now, we have 13 private scholarship funds left to offer. So if your child is taking private lessons, please consider seeing one of us, Mr. Seat, myself, for a private lessons scholarship fund application, so we can get your child started with private lessons. And I think Ms. Tassin, our Band Boosters president, is going to help us draw the 50-50 raffle. Please welcome Ms. Tassin.
All right, we collected $560, so the winner is going to get $280. I'm going to have one of the students draw. I brought my glasses. All right, number 326 9639. You got one? All right, I'll read it again. 326 9639. Hold on. I have a family that brought tickets and then they left. And they won. And they also stated that they would like to donate their winnings. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Tassin. That is the holiday spirit right there. Our final piece tonight is Vulcan, and on the fall band concert back in October, we performed the third movement, and thereafter we had Michael Doherty come in, do a residency, and work with the band, all three bands in fact, and he helped us shape and configure what you're about to hear. So it's in three movements. On the fall band concert, you hear the third movement. The first movement is called Ponfar, which represents the Vulcans' mating ritual, and it is represented by Michael Doherty's depiction by a wedding march. And movement 2 is called Mind Meld, and that is a telepathic way of communicating without words, and there's very interesting images of it. And if you've seen Star Trek, there's Spock, and he does it, and he's got his hands on somebody's head. It's very intense and mysterious, and it's very interesting. So, third movement is Vulcan's Forge, which represents all of the characteristics of the planet Vulcan, which the Vulcans are from, and it also depicts the duality of two main characters of the TV show, Spock, who's determined, who's logical, and he's very decided, and that's by the snare drums, snare drum duet that you'll see in the third movement, and Captain Kirk is represented by the band, who's more emotional, more impulsive. So there's that duality going between the snare drum duet and the band representing Spock and Captain Kirk. Please enjoy Vulcan. Thank you. We're going to transition now to the wind ensemble. We too will exit the stage and move to the audience section back there. Please be patient as we transition. Thank you. Thank you very much. The first piece was called Don's Diabolique. And now I'd like to bring up the head director of bands of Las Vegas Academy, Mr. John Seaton. Thank you so much again. It's just been such a supportive crowd tonight. We really appreciate it on stage. Just a few things, mostly acknowledgments to cover before we finish our program here. You've heard it, I think, 2 other times, but one more commercial for the Band Booster sponsored private lesson scholarship program. We have 13 spots available. And that again is open and easy to apply for. If students have any questions, just have them come see me. And it doesn't even have to be with private lessons. I think sometimes we think, oh, you take private lessons maybe if you're bad. You could already be amazing and you just want an additional support as you're working on becoming a better musician. So we'd love to fill up those 13 slots before the end of the year. Want to give a big shout out tonight. We have a few administrators here, and at LVA, I'm just so proud to say we never, ever, ever do a concert without having an administrator present, which is fantastic. So if you could please, I'll get the 3 of them all list off here. Assistant Principal Jenny Valdez, Jennifer Schuler, and our Principal Leslie Kemp. I think they're in this direction. If they could stand up, round of applause. also saw quite a few faculty and staff here at LVA walking in. So if you could stand, LVA faculty and staff, we think it's so cool you're here supporting as well. Thank you so much. It's just so nice of them to come and support the students. Want to acknowledge Parapros in attendance. The Parapros give students in all 3 band sectionals every week, and it's a huge resource we have here and kind of a really excellent assistance, and we couldn't do it without them. They just bring such a great perspective to the students. Any paraprofessionals here at LVA tonight, if you could stand and get acknowledged. Thank you so much. There's a band director over here that we'll acknowledge in a second with his band, but there are a few other band directors in the audience, as well as some private teachers of these students. If you could please stand and be acknowledged, there's a few of them. Thank you so much. Over here. We just really appreciate, a lot of them have former students on stage, and we hope some up-and-coming students, so thank you so much for joining us as well. I want to give a big shout-out up here, if the Thurman White folks, if you could raise your hand just so they can see where you are. This is the, yeah, absolutely. This is the Thurman White Academy band, and their director, Dr. Will Daines over here, was nice enough to put them on a bus, bring them for the concert, and then the most important thing, take them on a bus back to school, I'm sure. And so we really appreciate, oh, they're not going back to school, they tell me. Okay, even better. We really appreciate him taking the time to bring these students here. And Thurman White students, we hope you enjoyed the concert, and we hope to see some of you audition in the future. And just again, let's give a big round of applause to Thurman White Academy. Want to also, one more time, thank our parents for supporting the Parent Funding Agreement, the PFA program. Again, a portion of the Michael Doherty residency in the fall was supported through that effort. The quartet we'll introduce here in a second was completely funded through the PFA program. So again, parents and LVA community, you should be extremely proud, bursting with pride, with that level of support you show, and the fact that we could bring these incredible guest artists here to share with our students and share with our community in a concert. So thank you so much for that. Finally, and this is the big, let's see, oh, one person I forgot, I'm sorry. Max Speranza is running the sound on these 4 mics and has been here for a few rehearsals and is just a fantastic audio technician. We could also acknowledge Max Speranza. Sorry for all the acknowledgements, but there's just a great support system here, and I love thanking them for it. Finally, we'll introduce here, I'll introduce them all, and then they'll come on stage. Viet Quang and the Noise Quartet. So we'll start with the Noise Quartet. This quartet is a really dynamic professional saxophone quartet coming to us from Chicago. They have over 100 premieres, and I think probably their bios may be a year or a few months out of date. They probably have more than that now. They told us when they were here giving classes, they premiere 30 new pieces a year, and that it's hard enough to perform music, let alone new pieces where you're bringing it into existence for the first time. As you can guess with tonight's performance, they are dedicated to performing the music of living composers. So composers like Viet Quang, there are other premieres they've given, active composers, not someone from the 1800s we're pulling back. One other cool aspect of the quartet tonight is one of the members is an LVA alum. And so his name is Philip Kloitkins. I believe he graduated in 2018. His parents are here tonight. I think they're sitting over there. There we go. And so it's just, yeah, let's give it up for the parents. See, parents, you might keep coming back to concerts for many years to come. Don't write us off. But Philip just was a fantastic student while we were here, and while he was here, and it's just really cool to see him playing with the quartet here back at his alma mater. And the quartet has just been stellar this week, giving classes to the students. We had a kind of Q&A discussion. I mean, they're just incredible, and that's not even counting the performing you're going to hear. We also are really excited when B3 does their California tour in March, we will again reunite with the Noise Quartet for 2 more performances of this piece. So it's not even goodbye at the end of the concert. And if you're going on that tour, you'll get to hear this piece again, which we're just really excited about. Finally, and then they'll all come out, I know you're excited to see them, to introduce Viet Quang, the composer of this piece. So he's going to collaborate with Noise and kind of introduce it. I'll just tell you a little bit about him. If you were at our Smith Center concert last year with Epoch Percussion, you got to hear a piece by him. It was called Renewal. There are a few alums in the audience who played on Renewal, I see out there. Just an incredible piece, and you'll hear another great piece of music by him tonight. He's the professor of composition at UNLV, just down the road, and it is our great fortune via him getting that job that the reason we played last year Renewal and this new piece, Second Nature, this year, we have one of America's best living composers who happens to just be with us here in Las Vegas. He's innovative and just highly successful. Last year when we hosted the CBDNA conference, many composers were just ecstatic to have their piece played, period, at the conference. He had a piece performed on every single concert. That's how dynamic he is. He just happens to live here in Las Vegas. So we're really excited. He comes to work with the students. He just is so great with them. And it is my great pleasure to welcome to the stage the Noise Saxophone Quartet and Viet Quang. Big round of applause.
I just want to say thank you first to LVA and John Seaton for being such great collaborators, and of course the wind ensemble here on stage. I'll be honest, I don't work with high school groups very often, simply because a lot of my music is too hard to play. But when I work with LVA, I feel like I'm working with a university group, other than usually rehearsals are in the morning. So it's always really fun. So this piece, Second Nature, it's called Second Nature because when we call something second nature, it's something that is difficult through a lot of practice becomes almost instinctual to us. So what better way to describe a concerto where they're playing, I mean, I don't know how many notes you all play in this piece, but we don't need to count. But there's that sort of aspect of this concerto, but then there's also the aspect of where they have to almost sound like a single super saxophone. This piece is it demands a lot of the soloists. And one thing is just the rhythms are quite difficult because what I'm doing in this piece is trying to emulate digital delay. Does anyone here play electric guitar? Cool, so some of you do. Have you ever used a delay pedal? So basically delay pedal is when you plug in the guitar, you play a note, you strum a chord, and it echoes itself. And so I'm trying to do that where they actually play all of those echoes manually. So maybe let's just hear the melody from the very first 10 measures of the piece without the echoing. What each of them is then doing with their note of the melody is then playing like about 8 echoes. So let's just hear one of the saxophones do that. Great, so it sounds like an echo. So now let's hear all of them play those first 10 measures as written in the piece. I hope you like that because we're about to hear it for like 60 minutes straight. And because a lot of it is inspired by electronics, what the band is doing on stage is also basically turning into a house dance track to accompany them. So that's, I think, all I'll say about Second Nature. Just thank you again to Noise. They are in my opinion, one of the greatest living saxophone quartets on this planet. And it's amazing that they're getting to work with the students here on stage. And thank you again to the students and John Seaton. Here's Second Nature.
thank you again for being such a fantastic crowd. And again, feel very proud that the PFA, that's what that supports, and you should just be so electrified by that. Thank you so much again. Let's do one round of applause for these incredible speakers.